On the map of the Middle East, it appears as a narrow blue line, but its strategic importance is enormous. If this waterway were to close, oil prices could skyrocket within moments, global trade could be disrupted, and even the risk of direct confrontation between major powers could emerge. We are talking about the Strait of Hormuz, one of the most important maritime choke points in the world. In this analysis, we will explore where the Strait of Hormuz is located, why it is so important, how tensions arise around it, what major incidents have occurred in the past, the positions of global powers, and what the future might hold. There is a lot to understand, so let's begin. Geographical location. The Strait of Hormuz is the only maritime gateway to the Persian Gulf. Iran lies on one side of the strait, while Oman and the United Arab Emirates are on the other. Every day, nearly 1/5 of the world's total oil supply, about 20 million barrels of oil, along with a massive volume of liquefied natural gas, passes through this narrow waterway. The strait connects the Persian Gulf to the Gulf of Oman and the Arabian Sea. Geographically speaking, it links the Persian Gulf directly with the Gulf of Oman, allowing ships to move onward to the Arabian Sea and eventually the Indian Ocean. The United States Energy Information Administration has described the Strait of Hormuz as the world's most important oil transit choke point. At its narrowest point, the strait is about 33 kilometers wide. However, the actual shipping lanes used by vessels are even narrower, only about 3 kilometers wide. The Strait of Hormuz is not only an important waterway, it also includes several strategically significant islands. Although there has not been a full-scale war over these islands, they have been the source of military tensions and disputes that continue to this day. Islands at the center of the dispute. The disputed islands include Abu Musa, Greater Tum, Lesser Tum. In 1971, as British forces withdrew from the Gulf, Iran established military control over these 3 islands. When Iranian forces landed on Greater Tum and Lesser Tum, a brief exchange of gunfire occurred, and a security member from Ras Al Khaimah was killed. On Abu Musa, Iran and the Emirate of Sharjah reached an agreement, but disputes over sovereignty remained unresolved. Since then, these islands have effectively been under Iranian control, though the United Arab Emirates continues to claim sovereignty over them. In other words, the islands remain a source of tension between Iran and the UAE. Why is the Strait of Hormuz so important? A significant portion of the world's oil exports comes from Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Kuwait, the United Arab Emirates, and Qatar, and most of those exports pass through this route. A large share of Qatar's LNG exports also depends on this strait. Every day, vast amounts of crude oil and liquefied natural gas move through this narrow passage. Because of its immense importance to the global energy market, the strait is often referred to as the artery of the world economy. If this route were partially or completely blocked, several consequences could follow. Global oil prices could surge dramatically. Stock markets could become unstable. Energy-dependent economies in Asia, such as China, Japan, India, and South Korea, could be severely affected. Who can actually close the strait? Iran has threatened to close the Strait of Hormuz in the past, but has never carried out the threat. After attacks by Israel and the United States in 2025, Iran again warned that it could close the strait as retaliation. The Iranian parliament even approved a related proposal, but it was never implemented. At different times, when regional tensions have increased, Iran has threatened to shut down the strait and has taken steps such as conducting naval exercises or seizing ships. During 2011-2012, in response to US and European oil sanctions, Iran threatened to block the strait. In 2019, amid heightened tensions in the Gulf, several oil tankers were attacked or seized, temporarily affecting maritime movement, but global trade never completely stopped. How could Iran block the strait? Legally, Iran cannot unilaterally close the Strait of Hormuz to international shipping. However, it could attempt to disrupt traffic by laying naval mines across the waterway. This could discourage oil tankers from traveling through the strait, effectively making it unusable. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, IRGC, could also target or seize vessels in the Gulf, something it has attempted multiple times in the past. In late 2007, several small confrontations between Iranian and US naval forces increased tensions around the strait. In April 2023, Iran seized a tanker owned by Chevron, one of the largest U.S. oil companies, in the Gulf of Oman. The tanker was released more than a year later. A history of tensions. Tensions around the Strait of Hormuz are not new. During the Iran-Iraq War in the 1980s, both sides attacked oil tankers in what became known as the Tanker War. The United States later launched Operation Earnest Will to protect Kuwaiti tankers. In 2019, several oil tankers were attacked. The United States blamed Iran, while Iran denied involvement. The tensions escalated significantly. These incidents demonstrate one thing clearly: conflict in the Strait of Hormuz quickly becomes an international crisis. How Iran maintains security in the strait. Iran uses a combination of military, technological, and diplomatic measures to maintain security in the Strait of Hormuz. First, Iran's regular navy, the Islamic Republic of Iran Navy, and the naval branch of the Revolutionary Guard patrol the strait and surrounding waters. They maintain their presence using fast attack boats, frigates, submarines, and coastal missile systems to monitor suspicious activities and respond if necessary. Second, Iran has deployed radar stations, surveillance drones, and coastal defense missile systems along its coastline. These systems help monitor ship traffic, observe airspace, and detect potential threats quickly. Strategic islands and coastal bases are also part of this security network. Third, under international maritime law, commercial shipping is generally allowed to continue. Iran often states that it is committed to ensuring the security of the strait. However, during periods of heightened tension, it may conduct military drills or stricter inspections moves that also carry political signals. Overall, Iran's security strategy in the Strait of Hormuz combines military presence, technological surveillance, and strategic positioning. U.S. and Western presence. The United States has maintained a naval presence in the Persian Gulf for decades. The U.S. Navy's Fifth Fleet is based in Bahrain and monitors security in the region. The U.S. position is clear. The Strait of Hormuz is an international waterway, and freedom of navigation must be ensured. The European Union has also conducted separate maritime monitoring missions to reduce tensions. Dependence of China, India, and Asia. If the Strait of Hormuz were closed, China would also suffer major consequences. Nearly 90% of Iran's exported oil goes to China, the world's second-largest economy, amounting to roughly 1.6 million barrels per day, despite international sanctions on Iranian oil. Similarly, India and Japan are heavily dependent on this route. For China, the strait is not only about energy, it is also strategically linked to its Belt and Road Initiative. Therefore, these countries strongly prefer stability in the region. Impact on global trade. According to Goldman Sachs, if the Strait of Hormuz were blocked, oil prices could exceed